I think we can be sexy to young people coming out of school, right? I think it can be a much more attractive. CPAs now are in such high demand, and you build so many other alternate skill sets while you're a CPA because you're working with all these different businesses and you learn so much about how they do their thing in the world. I mean, you can translate it to almost anything, and it's really crazy to me, and I think that's pretty sexy.
Hey, Verity, Scotty J. Y'all ready? Because there's no going back. You have a firm and feel all alone. Another tax season down, you still haven't grown. It's a struggle, but wait, you're not alone. Berkey built a platform that'll help you transform. There's a better way to CPA, new technology and processes. Manage teams and price profitably, deliver high quality. Scale your firm, building with limited time and money. Keep up with a consistently evolving industry. That's funny. Building and branding can be backbreaking, growing from scratch to sale. Don't sell your soul for traditional. Come join a platform that's built to scale. Share strategies on a complex itch to tax tips and tricks. Dark horse so dope, there's not a problem that they can't fix.
You wanna collaborate. You want both autonomy and support. If you want community, then become a principal at Dark. So if you're ready, say a better way. A better way, not CPA. You are
There's no going back.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? I repeat, may I have your attention, please?
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part
by Accounting High.
The views and events expressed here are
of the next generation of accounting and tech professionals leading this space.
The events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly. Children should not partake in the listening
of this podcast.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So without further ado, introducing the star of our show,
Jason Ackerman and Scott Scarano.
And I'm very confident I can say this guest's full name, Lindsay Stevenson.
Nailed it.
Nailed it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, you're a CPA.
I am,
But you focus on technology now. Is that right?
I'm sort of everything. I'm actually our chief transformation officer at the firm that I'm with. So it's
What
everything.
does that mean?
It's everything that
Is that just a weird title where they just like all the weird stuff goes to you?
It's really, we spend a lot of time just thinking about how we can be transforming the profession and the way that we do work and the way that we deliver work. So it's really anything that's different from the way we've always done the model. So I've worked on engagement letter process projects, working on contract life cycle management process. So a lot of things has a technology piece. So I'm definitely on the digital side and being involved in sort of how does that technology allow us to do these big, bold things that we've never done before. But really it's about the strategy behind being innovative and being forward thinking and actually moving the needle so that we can get traction on all these cool ideas that all the people that work for us have.
So you're like the fixer-upper. Like, we know this process is broken. We need to fix it.
Yeah.
We're not sure how.
Well, Disney has like their Imagineers, right? That's what they call their people that like come up with their innovations. And I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that or not without getting sued. But it's really being able to take all those cool ideas that happen in our firm and helping them translate them into a project plan and actually creating outcomes. So it's just helping everybody translate, right, the big idea into action.
So we'll get back. I have a lot of questions on that. But how did you get from a CPA to this role?
So I started in public, right? So back in the day, that was the first job out of college. I did tax. So I was working in the tax world. I did that for a few years, wanted to try something new. So I switched to audit and went out and did audits. And then I went to AI CPA's Edge, which is now part of Engage. But back then it was a separate conference, and it was supposed to be sort of the emerging leader CPA come and find yourself conference. And I went to that, and I was blown away by these other young CPAs that were doing amazing things. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could do so much more than putting my head down and doing accounting. So I went back to my firm, and we started talking about what we could do in our firm to be innovative. They did a few things. It was amazing. I wanted to do a lot more. So I went to our managing partner and cried in his office and told him that I didn't think the accounting profession was ready for me and that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So I needed to leave. And I was just leaving. I was leaving the profession. So I went to 6 or 7 firms, and I didn't call it Chief Transformation Officer. Like that didn't exist for me yet. But I pitched them on this idea of not being billable. And all of them pretty much came back and said, we'd love for you to do that as long as 80% of your time is billable. And I was like, yeah, I just don't see it that way. I don't think I can do it. I want to be all in or all out. So I went to business and industry, and so I could take a step back and take a breather and figure out how I was going to move forward. So I went to work for a bank as a VP of finance for them, which was exciting at the time because I knew nothing about banking, right? So I went to the interview, and they said, what can you bring to the table? And I said, a CPA, because they hadn't had one before. They were like, great, come join the team, come be a CPA for us. So I joined them, and then I started a consulting practice on the side. And so I started working with CPA firms on things like culture alignment, client delivery methodology. And then I really got into the DEI space and spent a lot of time working around unconscious bias training.
Wait, what's DEI?
Diversity, equity, inclusion. So all the efforts around creating initiatives within their firm, aligning their cultures, creating a sense of belonging, stuff like that. And it was really fun. I worked with some really innovative other consulting firms. So I think you may have had Sarah Elliott or Brian Cush. If you haven't had them on, you should definitely invite them. But they run and tend to lead. Well, taking notes.
Scott, take notes. I can't write, so or read, for that matter.
Yeah, so they're amazing. They're CPAs who are also coaches, and they do a ton in the leadership space and the coaching space. And so they were kind enough to invite me to do some work through their company and Tend to Lead. So I was doing some consulting work through there. And then in the meantime, I volunteer for AICPA. So I had joined the AICPA Women's Initiatives Executive Committee. And on that committee was the CEO of BPM, which is the firm that I'm now with. And so I met him 5 or 6 years ago on that committee, and just a fantastic individual. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And I don't know, we traded ideas. We talked about the world and what the CPA profession should look like and how we could change things from the inside out. And so like a year ago, I reached out to him because the AICPA was recruiting me for a job. And I said, oh my gosh, should I even entertain this? And he's like, wait, you're looking for a job? What would a job look like for you? So I told him about this. I mean, it wasn't called Chief Transformation Officer. That was his title that he came up with, but sort of the dream. And he said, let's do it. Let's do it at BPM. And so here I am.
I love it.
Later. Yeah.
So let's go back to that first firm you were with, and you said you went to Edge, which is what a fun title for a conference, Edge.
So good.
And it reminds me of the basis for U2. So the Edge.
The Edge.
Yeah.
He's got
the Edge.
Before it.
The Edge. So you came back to your firm and you said you had some ideas that you wanted to implement. Like, what were some of the ideas that you implemented there?
So we had it was a small firm. So we had, I would say 20 professionals, probably all in, 3 partners, just a small local firm. And we had never done anything around coaching, really, or had any kind of structure around career development as it related to the non-technical side of development. And so I had done a session, if you guys know Dan Griffiths, I think he's still on the AICPA board, but he was one of the first young CPA leaders in the world that I met. And he had done this session at Edge about Gallup's strengths. So you do like the strengths assessment.
Finders.
Yeah, strength finders. Do the strengths assessment, and he was talking about how you have kind of dinosaur brain, right? Like that's like your amygdala kicks in and then you go fight or flight and all this kind of stuff. And I was enamored with that. So I came back to the firm and they were really supportive. And so we actually brought Dan in to do consulting for us and like help us really uncover how we could use StrengthsFinder to better communicate and develop our people. And so we had a coaching program that we put into place and it became part of our evaluation process. And it was just really exciting because we were such a small firm and we didn't have an HR function to sort of create some structure. I mean, to be fair, this is 10 years ago, right? So this is back then, that was not normal. Now I think every firm kind of has something going on like that, but it was just really exciting.
I wouldn't be so sure.
It was a really exciting time and the firm was really supportive of kind of all my harebrained ideas. The only thing they ever said no to was the sleep pods. I really wanted some nap pods, but that was a no-go. But yeah, just a great small firm. It was a really, really good experience, but I didn't feel like I still needed to deliver client work and we just weren't big enough to support a non-client facing role there, and they've always been super supportive. I still talk to their incoming managing partner, actually. They're a super great guy. So
What brought you to tears?
I think it was just the realization that I didn't fit the mold and I didn't know that I had a place anymore. So I think I was just overwhelmed to think that there was just sort of this written rule about CPAs and you come into the profession and you put your head down and you do your work and then you keep doing that until you make partner. Then you do it some more. And then I don't know what comes after that. But at the time, it just felt like I wasn't that and I wasn't ever going to be that. And I was really scared because I didn't think that there was another place for me, right? So if I didn't want that, I didn't know what the path was. So
Did you just end the conversation basically to say this isn't going to work for me? Did you know where you were going to go? Did you want to stick with the profession?
yeah, I really thought I was going to end up in consulting. So I thought I would still be in the profession, but not operating as a CPA. I really thought I would end up as a consultant to firms. And that's where I was headed. And I spent a lot of hours doing that before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and, you couldn't travel anywhere. So we all had to do things virtually. And I didn't love delivering workshops virtually. I did 2 of them and I felt like I couldn't engage. I mean, they probably felt like they could engage, but I just felt like I couldn't really engage with people as much as I wanted to. And then I just started rethinking my life. Then I cried again because I was like, oh my gosh, I put all my eggs in this basket of being a consultant and now I'm thinking that I don't want to do it. And all these people think that this is where I'm headed and I'm going to disappoint all of them. And, that's the cool thing about the CPA profession is we have so many incredible mentors to reach out to. And there were a number of them that I called and, basically had a second midlife crisis. What am I going to do with myself now? Like, I don't want to be a consultant and I don't want to be doing technical work. What am I going to do with myself? I don't know how to make a living. So it worked out, but
Metaphorically, that was your transformation.
yeah.
And your chief of transformation.
That's right.
So when you started your new job at BPM, what was the first thing that you thought you'd want to transform?
What's interesting to me is that I think really big, right? And so there's always something, from the profession standpoint. I'm a pretty big advocate of killing the billable hour. And I don't know that we have the answer of how to fully do that yet because there is a cost piece of how we run our business, right? So labor cost is the primary driver for how we get things done. I mean, you can get away from the billable hour, right? I think every firm actually has gotten away from that, even if they still call it the billable hour because we write it up or we write it down. We bill the work for what we think we can get. So
You're talking to 2 people who do fixed price agreements.
Yeah.
And we don't do any time, my firm.
So I mean, it's possible to do it, but the reality is when you're trying to schedule work, when you're trying to understand capacity, right, there's still an element of individual time, like understanding what your resource value is. And so on a scale for BPM, when we have almost 1,000 people, how can you realistically schedule and map work out without considering the hours it takes to do X number of projects? So there will always be an element of time, right? Because people want time to be with their family.
Whoa. It's not always. That's how you never get rid of it.
Maybe not always.
Right, but if your foundation is built on time and that billing structure, you can't just build something else on top of that. It's a shaky foundation.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of changing the profession. Yeah, you have to start from the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Jason. But that is,
But you've got
The-
1,000 people. It's very hard to change. That's
Yeah,
why
so it's a
I'm interested in
reality.
such a large firm. Like, it's hard to change stuff there.
yeah. Well, and again, like, I mean, like Scott mentioned, all of our systems are based on that foundation, right? So it's not just a change in mindset. It's not just coming up with the metric. You're changing your entire platform.
First, you have to change minds before you
Well,
even change
I
anything
think
that
Lindsay,
you're doing.
you're asking. You know it's wrong. You know time is wrong, but you're not quite sure how to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the steps, right? And it's not just
Yeah.
me. So the reality of being
No, that's literally every.
Pick
I
a
think
side.
every firm is struggling with this time question, and it's kind of going to be a long transformation because we've changed, like you said, we've changed it on the billing side. So the way we bill the clients, we don't do that on time anymore because we realize that's pretty stupid. Like we can charge a lot more if we don't do it. Now firms are, how do we get rid of it on the people side? Especially for the larger firms. I'm waiting for a really large firm to do it. I'm excited for that. So maybe it'll be BPM.
Yeah, it might be. I keep bringing it up, but the real magic, I think, in my role there, it's really fun to think about the big things, right? Completely getting rid of time as a metric would be like, I mean, I would maybe just hang up my hat and be done with the world. if that happens at BPM, I might just be like, cool, mic drop, I'm out. Like that was such a big thing.
Got to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, right. But the reality is that there are so many meaningful, transformative changes that other people are bringing to the table that get really exciting to have the opportunity to work on them. And they're kind of nerdy, right? Like kind of have to be a little CPA nerdy to get excited about them. But things like automating your proposal and engagement letter process from like beginning to end so that your client experience is something they look forward to. Like they can't wait to be involved in your proposal and engagement process. That to me is exciting, right? Like I'm like, oh man, like what's one thing you guys love? Like not CPA stuff, like a service that you get that you feel excited to participate in. Like I'm a big Apple fan,
Apple.
right? Okay, Apple, right? Like I love, and it's so dorky because you're like, I don't want to be part of the cult. But honestly, everything I do with them, like I'm like, it's so easy.
Well, they figured out the whole purchase. Like when you get your new
I love the
iPhone, it's like
juice.
2 things on your phone. And then when you get the iPhone, you just like put your camera over and everything gets transferred. It is a seamless process.
It's just life is so simple with Apple, right? Like I
Yeah.
traveled today and I use Apple Pay and I don't have to have pockets and cards and things, right? I have my phone and just my whole life, my watch, everything is just seamless and easy. And I want in the CPA space for our clients to feel that kind of excitement like, oh God, taxes? I don't want to deal with it. This audit, I can't deal with it. Or, oh my gosh, this financial decision is overwhelming. Ease of use. I just tap into this really seamless, available platform that just boom. I feel so good now. I want that for us to be able to do that for our clients. And it starts with our first interaction with them. The first time they meet us and engage with us and have to give us something, making it easy is so cool.
Yeah, I went to an event this weekend and I was able to pay with my watch for parking. It wasn't fumbling around trying to find cash or fumbling around for wallet. Just lift up, double tap, paid.
Yeah. Well, this is why I don't understand why firms like they don't take credit cards. They make you write checks. It's like nobody else, no other place in your life do you do that. And it's annoying to customers. I think about this all the time. It's like what you should care about the most is every client interaction and how to make that better. And a lot of client interactions that we have now are not that great. We don't want to have to like physically sign something or physically write a check or do all this crazy stuff that we're doing now. Or like my big thing right now is the client organizer for tax. I don't like it. Like there's just not a good product out there, I don't think. That's ripe for change.
Well, we still have to ask the questions, like how do we make it a better client experience? We have to rethink the entire experience. And that's exciting for you because you get to rethink things. You get to go into the upside down or go upside down. And it's not traditionally speaking, things, you are unorthodox.
So how are you changing your client engagement letters and your proposals?
So we're working right now. Our team is talking about how we can, one, automate the process, and two, standardize what we do, right? So in a firm our size, it's a huge lift. So I've talked to a lot of people at Digital CPA, right? There's a lot of smaller firms there. They've already automated their engagement letters. They have a very standardized process, and it's awesome. But they do the same work, right? They have like a bucket of work that they do, and they do it for like 95% of their clients. So that can all be standardized and automated. For BPM, we do a ton of unique work, right? Like there are some general clients that we could put in a bucket and say, okay, well, we do this kind of work so we can automate and standardize, but we do a ton of specialized work. So then the question becomes like, how do we package that so that we can still be unique and valuable and niched, right, for the client and meet their need, but also leverage technology and automation and standardization in the way we approach giving them information to do that work. So right now we're exploring, it'll be in stages, but like in tax, taking a client group and being able to standardize an engagement letter and create customization so that our partners can say like, yep, 95% of this is all the same. And here's all the special things that we can do. And we want to put like our spin on it, right? Like we want to put our language in there. We want them to feel like they just talked to that partner, not necessarily the BPM, right? Like the big BPM. They want to have like a personal experience. And so trying to create that reality, but at the same time, being able for that partner to literally push a button and say, all this information is in our CRM about this client. I'm ready to produce an engagement letter. And that engagement letter pulls from a content library based on the information that's already in the CRM, and it produces a letter. And it's 99% ready to go. And the partner might make some tweaks, might make some adjustments, and then it goes straight out through our e-sign system, right? And our admin tracks that, and we get updates, and you'll never not know where a client engagement letter is or where it's at in the process. And then taking that back a step further all the way to the proposal process. So integrating our CRM so that when a proposal is won, it actually generates the engagement letter automatically. And so it doesn't actually even have to go through a whole process where somebody else has to touch it. And so really just thinking through the change of process workflow to figure out how do we not only create a great experience for our client, but really create efficiencies inside the firm. So we're spending less time on the administrative stuff and more time on the relationship stuff.
See what? Yeah, smaller firms are like so here's my question is like what you're trying to do, like we did that 5 years ago. Working for a larger firm, it's just taking so much longer to do stuff like that than like a firm our size or Scott's size. Why do you want to work for a big firm like that when you could work for a smaller firm and maybe 100-person firm and get this stuff done a lot faster?
So I think, from my perspective, I think the cool part from a larger firm perspective is that it becomes the industry norm, right? So you have one or two innovative, I'll give you 100 small innovative firms across the country that have innovative partners, a small number of innovative partners that are willing to all go all in on doing something creatively and different than the model that has been done for 100 years. The larger firms, though, are the ones that actually set the standard for how everyone moving forward will do it in the profession. So if we want the profession to change, being able to be as a big organization, creating that as the standard operating procedure and saying, hey, here's the roadmap. Here's how you actually get it done. Here's how you can systematize this over 1,000 people.
Yeah. See, I'd argue the
really big
opposite,
impact.
which is like the smaller firms do the changes and it eventually goes up to the larger firms.
Yeah.
And I guess you are standardizing the process to get it there, but it just that's why I could never work for a big firm. I think there's a lot of cool things about it, but I would just get so frustrated all the time, be like, why can't we do this faster?
I don't know that it's a why can't we do it faster. I think that larger firms haven't had, I spend a lot of my time talking about agile project management, right? Like we're putting an actual project management system into place at BPM for this exact reason, is so that we can be more agile instead of always having to go through big motions, right? Big system changes.
Well, the good thing is you have a lot of resources. So like a BPM, they could hire literally someone like you, and you could actually, what I'd love and what a small firm can't do, put a lot of money in technology, like your own technology. I'd love to have like 5 programmers on staff that are just programming stuff for making client interactions better and a firm like you could definitely do that. And you could, if you want to build a product, you could build a product if you wanted to. I mean, yes, we could, but it's much easier at a larger firm like you.
Yeah, I don't know that maybe we'll explore that at some point, but the reality is outside the CPA profession, it's already being done better. So like, I don't know why I would hire 5 programmers when I can go out and look at somebody in the distribution market and they've created a software that will do all the things I want it to do. I just need to call it a CPA firm software. So it's
give us
really
an example of
rethinking.
that.
So we were talking about time, right? So every large firm historically has always decided on a platform that is well known in the CPA profession to run their time and billing, right? So you got like Thomson Reuters and CCH, and you got all the big dogs, right, that are in the CPA space.
Yeah.
Now you see a lot of firms looking at things like Workday and looking at other softwares that have historically not been used in the CPA profession to run billing. And so as we get away from this time and billing being time and materials, right? We're not billing on time and materials anymore. We start billing on different things like fixed fee and subscription and advanced pricing. And you have all these different models for how you're going to change the way you bill. Well, now you can start looking at software that doesn't have to be created by people who only serve CPAs. And I think there is a ton more innovation outside the CPA profession happening that we should be looking at and saying like, hey, let's go partner with them. Like, and when you're a big firm, there's opportunity to go to a software company and say, hey, we see this software that you're using for X. We think if you tweaked it this way, you could use it for accounting. And this is how. We want to partner with you, and then we'll help you deliver this to the market. I mean, I just think there's so much potential there to go do that. And we haven't historically as a profession, right? We've just accepted that this is CPA software, and that's what we're going to go out and use. And I'm not knocking Thomson Reuters or CCH.
No, you can knock them. They suck. They absolutely suck.
No, you know, I don't think that's the case. I think they do some
They
things
100%
really well.
do. I'll say it. I guess I'll never be a sponsor, but that's okay.
I think they do some good things, but I also think that when you become the big dog in the pond, right, or the big fish in the pond, there is less motivation to innovate and be bold and be crazy.
Yeah, there's
than
no
there
motivation
is to go with status quo, right? And so and CPA firms are the same way. So BPM, we have lots of conversations internally of how are we always thinking of the innovative next thing, and maybe it won't be the most innovative thing on the market, right? Like to your point, Jason, there might be 15 firms smaller than us that are already doing it and doing it crazy good. But that's okay, right? Like that's our proof of concept. Then I can take it, to the executive leadership and say, these 15 firms already figured it out and here's what they did. Yeah, we got to scale it. We got to figure that out. Okay, that's our challenge. But doing it isn't the challenge, right? It's the scaling it that's the challenge. So what's next? That's exciting to me, I think that's really cool to be able to do that in a large organization.
Yeah, and there's different problems at all levels of CPA firms. When you're a 1-person, 2-person firm, everything that's going on. When you get to 1,000 people, you need those systems in place to be able to, assign work, blah, 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 do whatever you need to do. So there's not a one-size-fit-all for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everyone would already do all this
That's
stuff.
right. We would already be doing it. We'd already be doing it. I think it's too, like, it depends on your mentality. I think, people that have had a lot of leadership training and, maybe some coaching and really open themselves up to people outside just CPAs, right? They engage in other conversations with people. I think you find that they start thinking about having an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset, and it becomes less about the competition, right? I think historically firms have been like, this is my competitive advantage and I'm not sharing it with anyone, but really the best innovative firms are the ones that are out in the world being like, oh my gosh, we did this. Let me show you how we did this. It was crazy. It was amazing, because they aren't really worried about losing their market share and their client share, because the reality is they're going to keep innovating, right? They'll always be on to the next thing, and they're always going to be that next step. And I think that way too. I think our leadership at BPM thinks that way. They are constantly open to sharing with other firms, like, what are we doing? And asking them, hey, what are you guys doing? And what does that look like? And how can we be better? And how can we help you be better? Because the reality is we're not all serving the same types of clients. We're not all doing the same kind of work. We're all innovative and original in our own ways. So it's really not scarcity. There's more clients than work that we can do,
Yeah.
right? We can't even do the work.
Do you do you think this is a product of the general mindset shift of the digital age, or people being more open to share? Because we're all so much more connected now because of the digital age, because of the social networks, because we're not stuck in our own echo chambers locally. We're all connected. Is that also part of the reason why we're all having this mindset shift? Because I think that's probably, they probably work together. What are your thoughts? Why is that shift happening?
Yep. I mean, I think it's probably twofold, right? So one is access to information and ease of sharing information. So, the fact that I can get on a Squadcast platform and we can have a conversation and it can
Shout
be
out.
recorded.
Should be a sponsor.
No,
Sponsor
I'm having so
Squadcast.
much trouble with my audio today. No.
It is so much easier to connect, right? And to share ideas and to be in different firms and to be part of communities, right? These forums and everything are out there. I do think that's a shift. But I also think some of it is just a little bit generational. I have a 21-year-old kid and a 19-year-old kid, and for them, their entire high school and college life has been group projects. I mean, I can't even tell you how many freaking group projects those kids have done in the last 6 years. And that becomes the norm. So they just get very collaborative from a mindset perspective. And now they're entering the workforce. And I think they're just confused if people don't want to collaborate. Like, they're talking to their friends that work at PwC and they work at a small firm that's based in Detroit, right? And they're sharing like, hey, my firm did this the other day. Does your firm do this? And they're like, no, my firm doesn't do that, but they do this, right? There's no trade secrets anymore because that generation is so much more collaborative. And to your point, Scott, I think because of technology, they can be, but they were
So
trained.
we don't
to.
let our team have friends. That solves that problem.
Yeah, right. Good luck with that. Good luck.
Who has time with friends?
Good luck.
So
with that.
I want to know. So there are different problems at larger firms. You've kind of already alluded to this, but like from a large firm perspective, what are you or the leadership team thinking about over the next maybe 24 months or 5 years as to where you see the accounting world shifting?
So I think that there was a shift probably in the late 90s, early 2000s in the CPA profession where everyone decided they needed to be generalists. So it's kind of when you saw a lot of firms shift into, we have tax, we have audit, we have whatever else, right? We have all these specialty
Consulting.
services, right? Consulting, advisory, whatever you call
That's
it.
Those are the three.
And so you had all these firms that I think said we have to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. But we're going to say that I can't remember the language that pretty much every firm uses on their website, but it's something along the lines of full service firm, whatever
Full
that
service
means.
accounting. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever that means. Yeah, so that used to be, I think, kind of the thing. And now I think what you're seeing is these larger firms are talking about, as a firm, like as a brand, we're like an umbrella. We have everything, right? We have this umbrella, but really starting to get into like almost this industry focus. So BPM, we have quite a bit of focus on industries. And so it's really less about, we're all accountants, right? You got your CPA. We did the same schooling. We did the same testing. Like, everyone's got the technical knowledge, and then they're choosing where they want to keep spending their time to get even more expert knowledge at whatever that might be. But it's really about the people we like to serve. So like, am I really into ag, or am I really into oil and gas, or am I really into banking? Like, I finally am starting to see, I think in the profession, I think 10 years from now, you're going to see people choosing an industry career path and being able to focus on like the type of clients they really want to spend time with because it aligns with their own interests, as opposed to this focus in the 20 years before that was like, I'm a tax guy or I'm an assurance guy. And I think you still will be. Like, behind the scenes, they'll have teams where like this guy is the assurance guy and this guy is the tax guy. But as a firm, how they present themselves to the world will really be like, hey, this is our team that is the financial institutions gurus. Like, they can help you with anything. So you come to the table as a financial institution, we'll answer any question you have. It doesn't matter if you want tax. That shift is starting.
Niche marketing.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the smaller firms that, they don't have 50 teams, they're going to choose their niche as a firm. And they're going to say, we're going to do full service for this type of client. And I think you'll get away from like, we're a tax firm. or we're an assurance firm. Like I just don't think that's going to be the future of the profession.
Yeah, it made sense. I mean, everything's getting more complex too. Like, you really need to know. You have to go deep on even like tax. You can't be a generalist in tax. Kind of what you're saying. So
no,
it's
and they keep
complicated.
changing. I mean, the tax code has changed how many times? I don't want to say when I graduated from college, but I will say
2005.
How did you know? Man.
I got your LinkedIn pulled up.
Oh
So
shit! I have that.
I do
live
research
somewhere.
10 minutes before the pod.
Oh wow,
on
good
you.
for you. Good job. Yeah. So you figure in 17 years, tax law has changed. I can't even count how many times tax law has changed, and then now even tax law is even more niche than it was before.
Oh yeah, it's,
Right? Like
it's
there's
so
laws
much more
specific
complex
for
Yeah.
a type of
This-
industry because lobbyists are in there and doing their thing, and so you can't even be a generalist in code section. Like you couldn't say, you know what, I know 382 inside and out. Like, okay, well, how does 382 apply to a financial institution that's acquired by a fintech?
We
Like,
just
totally
got so
different.
technical. I love this.
Right.
Scott's now
Scott's
asleep,
face
but
was
I
like,
love this.
but I mean, that's my point, right? Is that it's gotten to the point where like you can't even be a specialist in a specific place anymore because it's gotten down to the nitty gritty of like the type of organization that you're working with. They have tax laws specific to them, which I think is exciting, right? I think there's so much opportunity now for people that are like, oh my gosh, I love banks. Like I love everything about banks. I'm a money person. Like this excites me. I can't wait to just like get into banks. Like cool. Run Ripshot and go learn everything you need to know about banks. Like, right? That's a cool thing to do now. But that wasn't an opportunity before. You were
If you do that, you're a huge nerd.
Oh, yeah.
You say I like Bates.
yeah.
I want a niche in Bates. It's
I'm
smart
t-
though. I mean,
totally.
that's where the money is. But
I mean, it's not a bad place to be.
most people are like Scott's into comic books. I'm just a loser, so I'm not into anything. But maybe I should be into Bates. I should definitely be into Bates.
Well, what are you into?
That's a smart idea. Yeah.
Golf. Okay, so professional sports. That's
Got it.
like a niche now, right?
Oh,
it's
for sure.
crazy. It's
People,
crazy.
a lot of people do that. We had Tate Henneshaw. He's like, and it's not just sports. It's like specific. Like you have to be into golf because the golf, they all live in Florida and how they work, and they're 1099s. Where if you work in the NBA, you're W-2. It's like completely different. So you're totally right. Like if I wanted to get deep into the golf niche,
You could do
I
it.
could.
You could go crazy there. When I was in college, I was like a part-time employee of a really small firm. It was two separate firms, but they shared space. So one partner each. And my last year of college, one of the partners did a famous NBA player's taxes, which I won't disclose because I'm not sure I'm not allowed to say that. But
Oh, this is a long time ago.
but he had, a W-2 for 48 states. And that was like my first exposure to like multi-state. And
Yeah.
I remember just going home and I called my mom and was like, I think I picked the wrong career. This is so confusing. I have no idea what's going on. I had just learned debit and credits. I had no idea what was happening with these multi-state returns. So, but it's kind of interesting where we've come now. Like now there would be someone who is in MBA, right? Like hid niche.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't just be a general practitioner that would do that return.
For sure. Where do you see your position going over the next few years?
I don't know. It was new. I didn't think I would ever have it. So we're less than a year in at BPM. So BPM never had anything before this. I never had that role before. So we're still playing the figure it out game and we take it as we go. So each day is, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years or what the role looks like. That's what makes it so cool.
So tell us like some of the big picture things. We already talked about like, engagement letters and stuff, but like what are the other things that you think are ripe for change in the firm?
Well, it's not really just the firm. I think probably
Accounting.
I think like my vision is probably really accounting. I think just like the work compression is a huge thing, right? Like I don't think
It's
that
it's
we
3:14 right now.
Yeah, I know. I can't even believe you're recording
Pie
a
day,
podcast. But,
Someone's gonna slap me with a pie in a second.
Pie day. I forgot about that. See, travel day, you forget things. But no, I really do think that changing the actual business model of how we work, who was it, Arthur Anderson, is sort of where the current firm model came from, and he based it off a manufacturing business model, right? So this is just like an old school way of doing business. and we've never really turned it on its ear. And I think some firms have in little pockets and been really creative, but as a profession, we've never really like taken a step back and been like, how do we want it to look? Let's not talk about how we're doing things now. Let's not talk about how we want to do things in the future. What does it look like? Like, what does it look like to work as a CPA 10 years from now? And that really excites me. I think it looks a lot different. I think we can be sexy to young people coming out of school, right? I think it can be a much more attractive place to look. Because
Hey, I said sexy on this podcast, and I was put on LinkedIn as an ad. So watch out, watch out. Accounting can be sexy. Lindsay Stevenson.
Wait, aren't you the daughter of a CPA? Like, aren't your parents CPAs? Your mom or dad?
Neither.
I thought that's why we were having you on.
No.
Oh man, I thought you were the daughter of a CPA.
No, you just invited me because we met and you were like, you should be on here.
I'm sorry. We have to cut this off now. I thought you were a daughter. So, ooh.
No.
All right. What about your kids? Aren't one of them going to be a CPA? Like, isn't your son going to be a CPA? Something like that?
I mean, neither. One is going to school for finance and Japanese, and he wants to be a Japanese businessman and in finance. So I don't know if he'll go for a CPA eventually.
I love that.
But, he's at least in the finance world, which is good because I didn't know if either one of the older kids would be. And my other kid is 9, so that's a long way out. He thinks he's going to be the next Flurry. So, do you watch hockey?
Hockey player.
Hockey. He plays a goalie.
Oh, hockey. It's the event I was at this weekend. I went to a Hurricanes game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Were you playing in it?
Oh, I wasn't playing. Shout out to Dave Ackerman. Yeah, Dave came into town. We went to a hockey game.
I guess here's the question. If you were going to sell the CPA firm to your kids or the CPA profession, how would you do it now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is constantly challenging and evolving, right? You do not do the same thing every day, no matter what part of the profession you're working in. You have no idea. I mean, not to a scary point, right? But you have no idea what's coming next. Your clients have crazy things going on. Yeah, I mean, you never get bored. I think the other thing is that you really control your own destiny. I think the profession has changed so much where it just seemed like there used to be a start here, end here kind of mentality, right? Like you'd start at a firm, and if you didn't want to be a partner, they didn't really know what to do with you because that was just the path, and you needed to do it. Or if you started,
you're the perfect example of this.
Yeah, that's right. And or if you started in business and industry, like your road is CFO. It was just like a straight linear pathway. And I think now the thing that I think my kids would think is attractive is you really just write your own ticket. It's what do you want to do? How do you want it to look? Because CPAs now are in such high demand, and you build so many other alternate skill sets while you're a CPA because you're working with all these different businesses and you learn so much about how they do their thing in the world. I mean, you can translate it to almost anything, and it's really crazy to me. And I think that's pretty sexy. I mean, I think coming out of school, sometimes you got these people that are like, I have a degree in, I don't know, bioengineering. Like, okay, well, what are you going to do with that? Well, this is where I can get a job. Like, right, it may be later in life you can do whatever you want, but this is where I can get a job. It's a very straightforward, unique kind of skill set. With CPAs, man, you come out of school and you say, I'm a CPA, dang near every business in this country would be like, come work for me because I need somebody that understands finances. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like you could literally work for almost any company in the whole United States.
You're like guaranteed a job forever.
Yeah. And if you don't like the numbers part of it, that's fine because there are opportunities to shift and transfer your knowledge into just business sense, right? Business acumen. And I've seen people shift into like more of a marketing role. I have friends that are doing like coaching. I have friends that are working for associations supporting the CPA profession. Like, that's crazy. They could do whatever they want, which is so cool in a profession that I think has kind of been seen as like nerdy and boring historically, and it's really not. It's exciting and it's crazy and it's sexy and it's fun and you can do whatever you want. I mean, what kid doesn't want to do whatever they want?
I'm gonna be a CPA now. You sold me.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
That
was amazing. I love that. Now we just need to like get all these firms to buy into that. We're losing too many CPA. Like we almost lost you to accounting.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
You know,
can't
and
lose. Like, imagine if we would have lost Lindsay, and like that's one great person that's now working at South Dakota Bank, like trying to get someone a loan or something.
well, you know, I mean, it definitely starts at the leadership level, right? So, you know, our CEO is super, super innovative and creative and loves crazy ideas and is always thinking of what's the next thing. And he has the firm bought into that magic, right? Of like, we can always be better. What's the next thing that makes us better? And that's almost like the culture is just part, like you feel that energy when we have calls. And we just hired a director of change management, which is like unheard of, right? Like we actually have a person that's responsible for helping us figure out how to manage the change that's constantly happening in our firm. That's super exciting. And I think that once the leadership believes in that mantra, then it trickles down. And even when we lose people, then, you know, they end up coming back. Or if we lose people, they end up staying connected and they refer clients. Or, you know, they're still part of the CPA profession, even if accounting in its purest form was not their thing.
The word sexy. Yeah.
We don't say that. No, we're not going to say sexy.
Now he does, though.
That's illegal. I don't want to get fired from my own job. That no one says sexy like I do. Wow.
No.
Okay. Most of the people listening to this, they might own a firm or maybe it was kind of at your stage thinking about starting their own firm and they've got 5 to 10 employees. Give them a little piece of advice that you've learned that they can implement and make their lives better.
I think it's really just comes down to being brave and being bold. I mean, what's the worst that happens if you fail at something small? It hurts your feelings. It sucks for a little bit. I mean, I just think that we as a profession tend to play it safe. And there are ways to take risks and be bold and be brave in very small ways that carry very little risk. So when you're a small firm owner or you have, 5, 10 employees, or it's just you, there are risks that you can take that pay big rewards that really aren't going to cost you your life, right? Or your business. And so I think just being that brave and bold to do something crazy, like kick hours to the curb. What's the worst that can happen if for 6 months you don't track hours? And maybe you don't like it. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it's not comfortable. I get it. Like, that's fine. But if you never do it, you never know what would have happened if you did do it. And I guarantee you, you are not going to lose business because you didn't track hours. You may not have a good sense of what you think your cost was for doing that business, but I guarantee you, you are not going to lose hours because somebody didn't put their time into a timesheet, right? You will still do the client work and you will still get paid for the client work. You just maybe don't have the time tracked. So I think there's things like that we can do as a profession. And that's just a little one. Right? That's an easy one.
I love it. Take risks.
That's
Lindsay
right.
the Bold. That's what we're going to call you from now on. Lindsay the Bold. This has been amazing.
Lindsay the Bold.
Oh, well, I'm sure my husband
I have
will
a
love
newborn,
that.
and we're calling everyone because we're reading some book about knights or something. So, our dog is our son is Sammy the Brave.
Oh,
our dog is Oliver the Odd. My wife is Mom the Big, and I'm Dad the Bigger. So,
okay, I like
Lindsay
it.
the Bald. This has been a blessing to have you here, and hopefully I'll see you at Engage. I'll be at Engage this year.
I will be there. I'll be at Digital. I'm actually in New York right now because we're planning Digital. So that's what I'm working on this week. So
nice. Thank you again. That was great.
Anytime.
That answer on going into the profession, you should snip it and put it up on a CPA website.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say sexy on anything AI CPA.
Well, you should be able to. Scott lives in Durham, where the AICPA is based. So I don't know if there's a Raleigh, but he'll just walk over there and post the video on the wall.
Don't post that video.
All right, Lindsay, thank you so much. I will see you at Engage. I'll come find you.
Thank you, Jason. It was nice to meet you. Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
Bye.